This episode of the Red Bull Rant is by the fine patrons that support us through patreon.com/Red Bull Rant. You can support us for the low price of $1 a month, and you can get exclusive content, including a monthly wrap-up for the New York Red Bulls. We want to send a special shout-out to our patrons who support us at $5 a month. That is our producer-level reward. Thank you to Jeremiah Dempster, Clayton John, Chris Adamek, and Maeve Dartinez. Now, on to the show. This is the Red Bull Rant podcast. If you aren't expecting adult language, why even bother listening? Welcome, my friends, to the show of friends. This is the Red Bull Rant podcast. I'm your host, Jason Ipico, and this is episode 396, Windy, Wet, and Wild. Unfortunately, Pat and Truman are too busy today, so this will be me flying solo, so probably a relatively quick episode. But what was not quick was that game over the past weekend against Chicago. 2-1 win away for the Red Bulls, with an 80-minute weather delay in the middle of that game due to lightning and bad storm in the area. Before my thoughts on it, let's get to your tweets. First, at TRM McLaughlin, and don't forget they also won the 2013 Supporter Shield again. Yes, that is true. They technically won it twice. Steven Santos at Creepy Taxi. We won on the road in a tough rain delay of a night. 5 road wins in the season. Unbelievable. We'll get to that in a minute. Pierre Delecto at 096. Who do I build for the sheer amount of whiplash I just went through watching this beautifully cursed soaker of a match? Yep. And this one we're going to come back to a little bit later, but Jeremiah at Red Coach J, you need a new segment predicting the levels of bananas intensity that will take place in the game on a 5-point scale. For this game, he had 2 different tweets about that scale. One tweet about it. He'll go as high as 4.5, but belief in the chaos. The potential is clearly there. So yeah, this was definitely a crazy game. Red Bulls giving up a relatively soft penalty, although I think it was the right call ultimately, to then get their own goal a minute later called off by an offside. That should never have happened. The 80-minute delay. And Fletcher somehow getting away with a second yellow that never happened. Chicago losing 2 guys to second yellows, and the Red Bulls pulling out the game winner off of another penalty kick that had to go to VAR. It was definitely a crazy day. So my dislike, and it may be weird for me to say this in the middle of a win, but that refereeing was
fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, that refereeing was terrible on Saturday. The Aaron Lawn offside call, which was not a clear and obvious error that he was called onside. The fact that they even had to go to VAR for the Kamala penalty kick. And the fact that even though I think it was right, they did not even go to the monitor for the handball on Fletcher. It was just crazy. And then the 2 second yellows for Chicago. The second one I think was rightly deserved, but the first one was borderline, especially since Fletcher had gotten away with his own, committed a foul and got away without a second yellow early, I think 20 minutes earlier. It's just something we harp on. We just want consistent refereeing. This was clearly not consistent. This referee lost the plot early, never found it, and just game went kind of off the rails after that. likes. My like is going to be the fact that we came back. I think I saw Seeing Red say this was the first comeback win under Gerhard Struber, so that's a very good sign. It was also our 5th road win to start this season, which officially ties an MLS record. But from my understanding, this should supersede the other one because the first one was LA back in '98, and they needed a shootout win at some point during those 5 games. So from a perspective of, shootout. So from perspective of who actually won 5 games in regulation, then clearly Red Bulls would own the record for that. But either way, to come away with 3 points, especially in that game, is huge. And let's hope that they can carry that going forward. So, predictions. Truman had got this exactly right, unfortunately. So he is currently sitting with, let me double check, sitting with 4 points in the standings. I have 7 because I called a win. Patrick had called a loss, but he got nothing. So he is currently in 3rd place. So now let's quickly talk about the game coming up this weekend at home against Portland on Saturday, May 7th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The game will be on MSG and ESPN Plus for those out of the market like myself. Portland's coming in with a 2-5-3 record, good for 11 points, a -5 goal difference, number 10 in the West. Unfortunately, I didn't look up their away form, but seems to not matter with the Red Bulls, so we'll see how that goes. Truman has predicted a 1-1 draw at home. Pat is sticking with 2-1 loss at this point. I think he's just going to keep going with that reverse jinx until it runs out. And I'm going to be different. I'm going to guarantee that one of us gets a point this week. I'm calling a 2-1 victory for the Red Bulls. I know it's kind of crazy, but I feel like that game against Chicago could be a little bit of a turning point because we proved that playing from behind, we can still generate some offense. Now, Chicago has not been great this year, but actually, I'm sorry. I take that back. I think they have been decent because I thought that they were actually, let's see. Let me double check the standings. Okay, no, Chicago has not been good. I completely screwed that up. But still, to win that kind of a game, down a goal, that takes resilience. Resilience that we may need to see again at home, but it's something the team has proven they have now. And to be able to generate some offense with what seemed like the majority of possession, even though it was still technically less than 40% of the ball, is a good sign. And we'll see how it goes on Saturday. But I'm here's hoping that we break the home curse this year and get our first win. So that game will be followed up in midweek by a trip to DC United for Pat's favorite tournament, the U.S. Open Cup. The Red Bulls are playing in the round of 32. That game is May 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Plus. I think the draw for the round of 16, if the Red Bulls were to advance, would be on the following Friday, so the 12th. But we'll see if we can even make past DC in the first place. One team who seems to be not making past anybody is New York Red Bulls 2. They lost their last match 2-0 at Detroit City. That puts them at a record of 1-1-6, which is only good for 4 points, a -10 goal difference, and number 13 in the East. So, yeah, that's a good showing from the development side. Hopefully they can turn that around. Our team who turned their stuff around after the Challenge Cup is Gotham FC. They played their first match of the regular season, and there was a 3-0 win at the Orlando Pride. So that puts them right now at 1-0-0 record. number 2 in the NWSL, which obviously 1 week in is not really much, but at least it is something. And some news specifically about Gotham FC. It was announced this week that Kevin Durant is now a minority owner of Gotham FC. His venture company purchased a minority stake. I'm not sure exactly how much, but it's always good to see new money coming into a league like the NWSL. Hopefully that means good things for Gotham FC. And hopefully their performance this past weekend will carry through next weekend when they take, or sorry, this coming weekend on Saturday, May 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time when they take on the newly formed San Diego Wave. All right, so that's it. And now it's time for what's going to be the last segment of the show since Truman and Pat are not here. It is time for the dumping ground.
I'm the trash man.
All right, so only one piece of news I think that's worth talking about. The Seattle Sounders have become the first team in MLS history to win the CONCACAF Champions League. They won their 2-leg series, aggregate 5-2 scoreline over Pumas, with their hosting the second leg and a CCL record 68,000 fans in attendance. Literally the whole stadium was filled up. It was kind of cool. Marshawn Lynch was doing some great promo work for them leading up to the match. If you haven't seen his videos, you should look them up because they're funny. All right, so like I said, very short episode since I'm the only one talking. So I'm going to wrap this one up. You can visit us at patreon.com/Red Bull Rant. If you want to email us, redbullrant@gmail.com. If you want to call us, 973-348-5329 is the voicemail number. Facebook.com/Red Bull Rant. On Twitter, at Red Bull Rant for the show, at Dr. Stooge for myself, at The Truman for Truman. You can subscribe to our show via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, YouTube Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast. No last thoughts. So for myself, this has been episode 396 of the Red Bull Rant. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, go Red Bulls.